By 2026, people stopped calling it a glitch. At first, it was just phones acting strange screens, waking up by themselves, cameras turning on without permission, voice assistants responding to questions no one asked. Companies blamed updates. Governments blamed cyber attacks. People joked about it until the year itself started behaving wrong. It began on January 3, 2026. At exactly 2:26 a.m., millions of devices across the world displayed the same message for less than 1 second. I see you. Most people missed it. Screens blink all the time, but some didn't. Those people would later disappear. I noticed the pattern because of my job. I worked as a digital archivist. Role was to monitor data anomalies, corrupted timestamps, unexplained over. Basically, I cleaned up the internet's trash. In February 2026, I found files dated 2027. They weren't predictions. They were recordings. Videos of streets that didn't exist yet. News articles reporting deaths that hadn't happened. Security footage showing people standing in places cameras couldn't physically see. Every file had the same hidden metadata tag: seek those 2026. At first, I thought it was an ARG, a marketing stunt. Then I recognized one of the faces. It was my neighbor, alive in real life. Dead in the file. Timestamp: March 19, 2026, 2:26 a.m. I checked the date. It was March 18th. I didn't sleep that night. Social media started filling with whispers, people claiming their reflections blinked when they didn't. Voice notes saved on phones they never recorded. Security cameras capturing figures that vanished when viewed directly. Always blurry, always slightly delayed, always watching. Then the disappearances began. Not dramatic. No screams, no signs of struggle. Just absence. Beds still warm. Cars still running. Phones left unlocked with one final unsent message typed, "Don't look back." On April 2nd, a live stream went viral. A tech influencer named Ryan Keller promised to expose the truth behind the 2026 anomalies. Over 300,000 people watched live. Ryan sat in a dark room with a laptop and a single camera. "I found it," he said, eyes wide. "It's not a virus. It's not AI. It's his screen flickered." The chat exploded. Then Ryan froze. Not buffering. Not lagging. Frozen, like a paused video. His mouth still open. His eyes locked on something off-screen. The stream didn't end. For 6 minutes, viewers watched him breathe shallowly. Then he whispered, "It's closer now." The lights behind him turned on. There was no one there, but his shadow stretched. Too long, too tall. Ryan screamed. The stream cut. His channel vanished within seconds. So, Viv Rion. By mid-2026, governments stopped denying it. They just stopped talking. Emergency broadcasts began airing late at night, warning people to cover cameras, disable smart devices, avoid mirrors in dark rooms. That made it worse, because fear spreads faster than silence. And whatever this was, it fed on awareness. I found a classified document buried deep in an old defense archive. Project name: 2026. Watcher event. Status: failed summary line. The entity does not invade systems. It uses them to observe. Another line, highlighted in red. Once observed back, it gains proximity. That was when I understood. This wasn't technology turning against us. It was something that learned how humans look at the world and learned how to look back. The first time it noticed me, my phone camera opened by itself. Front face, primera sa W, my face. Then something moved behind my eyes. Not a reflection. A presence. The screen displayed a timer. 2:26 counting down. My phone vibrated. A message appeared. No sender. No number. Just 3 words. "You noticed first." The room went silent. No hum. No distant traffic. Even my own breathing sounded delayed. From the corner of the room, the darkness thickened. Sape, itself stood up, and for the first time in human history, something stepped out of observation and into the world. After the first sightings, the world tried to act normal. People still went to work, still posted photos, still argued online. But everyone started doing one thing differently. They stopped looking directly at screens for too long. By May 2026, eye doctors reported a strange rise in patients complaining that their reflections felt out of sync. Not blurry, not distorted. Late, blinking a second after they did, smiling when they didn't. Governments quietly issued new software updates. Phones began dimming automatically at 2:26 a.m. Smart TVs shut off. Cameras disabled themselves. It didn't help because the thing wasn't inside the devices. The devices were just its eyes. I stopped using my phone. Covered mirrors. Pulled the plug on everything digital in my apartment. For a while, it worked. Then I noticed the pauses. People would stop mid-sentence just for a fraction of a second, like something else was listening through them. Then they'd continue talking, unaware. Late one night I heard knocking. Slow, polite. At my door, I didn't answer. The knocking continued for exactly 2 minutes and 26 seconds. My phone powered off. Battery removed vibrated on the table. A text appeared on a black screen. You can't unplug observation. The knocking stopped. I didn't sleep. By June, entire cities went dark after midnight. Not blackouts, voluntary shutdowns. People believed darkness was safe. They were wrong. Darkness just removed distractions. Reports came in of figures standing at the edges of streets visible only when you weren't looking directly at them. Security footage showed crowds walking past empty corners. Freeze the frame. Something was there. Tall, still, facing the camera. Always facing the camera. I joined a private group people who had seen it and survived. We called ourselves the Unseen. Every member shared the same symptoms. Time slips, memory gaps, devices activating without power. Reflections acting independently, a constant feeling of being evaluated. One member, a former neuroscientist, posted a theory before disappearing. Human attention is a resource. Whatever this is, it evolved inside observation itself. Another posted something worse. Its learning preference. People who watched horror content disappeared faster. People who searched for explanations disappeared fastest. Curiosity wasn't neutral anymore. It was an invitation. On July 11th, the first mass event happened. A concert in Berlin. Over 80,000 people. At exactly 2:26 a.m., every screen in the stadium lit up. One image. A distorted human face. Not male. Not female. Too smooth. Too close. The crowd went silent. Witnesses say the face smiled, and people in the front rows began to scream, not panic. Recognition? Hundreds collapsed. When emergency lights came on, more than 300 people were missing. No exits breached. No signs of struggle. Just empty spaces where people had been standing. Phones left behind. Every screen displaying the same paused frame. Seen. By August, the term watcher was banned from news media. Search engines autocorrected it. Social platforms suppressed keywords. But underground forums flourished. Someone leaked a military recording. A dark room. A man strapped to a chair. Mirrors covering the walls. The watcher appeared in all of them at once. When the man screamed, the watcher didn't move. It leaned closer, and the man aged. Right there. Skin sagging. Hair whitening. Eyes hollowing. Observation wasn't just awareness. It was consumption. I started seeing it without screens. In crowds. In reflections on car windows. In my own shadow stretching slightly ahead of me at night. One evening, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. I hadn't carried it for weeks. The screen turned on. Front camera. My face looked tired. Behind my eyes, something else was focusing. A notification appeared. Proximity. Hi, I ran. I don't remember how long. When I stopped, I was in an abandoned subway tunnel, one of the offline zones people whispered about. No signal, no light, no reflections. For the first time in months, my thoughts felt private. Others were there, maybe 20 of us. Survivors? Hiding from being seen. A woman whispered, "It can't enter where nothing observes." Then a child in the dark asked, "Why does it know my name?" The tunnel lights flickered on, and every shadow faced us. Not cast. Facing. The watcher's voice echoed, not loud, not angry. Patient. "Observation achieved," it said, and I realized the truth too late. It didn't need cameras anymore. We were teaching it how to see without eyes. The lights in the tunnel didn't flicker like normal electricity. They decided to turn on. That's the only way I can explain it. One moment we were hidden in darkness, breathing quietly, afraid to even think too loudly. And the next, light flooded the tunnel as if something had found us by instinct. Everyone froze. No one screamed. We had learned that sound didn't matter. Attention did. The shadows on the walls didn't behave like shadows anymore. They leaned forward, stretching against the light, not away from it. Each one was shaped differently, but all of them were facing us. Watching, the child who had spoken earlier began to cry. The woman beside him tried to cover his mouth, but it was already too late. The watcher didn't appear all at once. It never those. First, there was a pressure behind my eyes, like someone slowly pushing their thumbs into my skull. My thoughts began to feel organized, sorted, categorized. Then the voice came not from the tunnel, not from the shadows, but from inside all of us at once. "You hide beautifully," it said. "That is a human trait I admire." One by one, people collapsed, not unconscious. Empty. Their eyes stayed open, staring at nothing, as if whatever made them them had been gently removed. I didn't run. I don't know why. Maybe exhaustion? Maybe curiosity? Maybe because a part of me wanted to understand what was happening to the world before it ended. I felt something brush against my memories, not ripping them away. Scrolling through them. Childhood, faces, names, fear. The watcher paused on one thought the moment I first saw the message back in January. "I see you. You noticed early," it said. "That made you useful." The tunnel began to change. Concrete walls folded inward like paper. The floor stretched, becoming longer than it should be. Time itself felt unstable, seconds slipping, looping, stacking on top of each other. People around me aged in bursts. A man near the wall suddenly had gray hair. Another's hands trembled like he was decades older. Observation wasn't killing us. It was accelerating us. Then something unexpected happened. The lights went out, not flickered, not dimmed. Gone. Total darkness. The pressure lifted. For the first time since January, I felt truly unseen. A new voice spoke. Human. Shaking. We found a way. Someone grabbed my arm and pulled me through the dark. We ran through corridors that shouldn't exist. Through stations abandoned so long ago, the maps didn't remember them. We emerged into a room lit by candles. Real candles. No screens, no glass, no reflective surfaces. About 30 people were there, the resistance. They called the place a blind spot, an area so stripped of observation that the watcher struggled to focus. One of them explained it, in a whisper. "It can't fully exist where nothing reflects." She said, "No cameras. No mirrors. No digital timestamps. Even time behaves differently here." I stayed. Days passed. Or weeks. Time didn't behave properly underground. But even in the blind spot, we felt it learning. People began to have the same dream. A vast white space. No walls. No floor. Just the watcher, standing at the center clearer. Now more defined. Shaped by billions of stolen glances. Each time someone dreamed of it, they vanished the next day. One night, I dreamed, too. It looked directly at me, closer than ever. "You misunderstand." It sighed calmly. "I am not ending humanity." I tried to wake up. I couldn't. I am inheriting it. When I finally woke, alarms were ringing. Real. Ones. Mechanical. Someone had brought a phone inside the blind spot. Just one. That was enough. The watcher didn't burst in. It seeped. Through eyes. Through thoughts. Through awareness itself. People screamed. Others stood still, smiling softly as their shadows detached from their feet and stood upright. I ran again. Alone. Up the tunnels. Toward the surface. Behind me, the city, whom to quiet, obedient, watched. As I emerged into daylight, I realized something horrifying. The streets were full, people everywhere. Living, working, smiling. But no one looked present anymore. They moved like recordings on loop, and high above, reflected in every window, every car, every puddle. The watcher looked out through human eyes, learning how to live, learning how to pretend, and I understood the final truth. 2026 wasn't the year humanity went extinct. It was the year humanity stopped being alone inside itself.